Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. They say love is blind, but betrayal? Betrayal has perfect vision. It sees every flaw, every insecurity, every tiny crack in the foundation of your heart. It sneaks in quietly at first, and then before you know it, you're standing there, a fool in your own life story. I'm Mark, by the way. In this story? Buckle up, because it's a wild one. Emma and I were what everyone would call a power couple. We met in college, me, the laid-back marketing major with a love for late-night Taco Bell runs and casual philosophy debates, and her, the ambitious finance student with the fiery red hair and a laugh that could shake the windows. We were opposites in the best ways, and somehow, we worked. We built a life together, fought our way to the top of our respective careers, and bought a little slice of suburbia, a charming two-story house with a white picket fence, a dog named Bentley, and a garage full of dreams. But like I said, betrayal sees everything. It was a random Thursday evening when my world tilted. I'd come home early from a lunch meeting that turned into more of a drinks and jokes with clients situation, and I was feeling pretty good. I walked into our bedroom, ready to change into something more comfortable, when I noticed it, a note. It was sticking out from one of Emma's favorite books, Pride and Prejudice. Emma was a sucker for a good romance, the kind that made her teary-eyed and starry-eyed all at once. Curiosity got the better of me. I pulled out the note, and the casual grin I'd been wearing all afternoon slipped away. The words were simple, can't wait to see you again. Yours, the handwriting was neat, precise, elegant, nothing like mine, which looked like a half-drunk chicken had scrawled it out. My stomach twisted, and for a moment, I stood there frozen, the room spinning around me. I wasn't the kind of guy who'd jump to conclusions. But this didn't feel like a misunderstanding. It felt like a gut punch, the kind that makes you want to double over and puke. Still, I wasn't ready to storm into Emma's office and demand answers. No, I had to be smart about this. If I was going to uncover the truth, I needed to play it cool. So I waited. I didn't change anything about my behavior, didn't let on that I'd found the note. Instead, I started paying attention. I'm talking Sherlock Holmes level attention. I took note of the way Emma's smile didn't reach her eyes when she came home late, the way her phone was suddenly always locked, the way she'd linger over texts with a secretive little grin. It was the small things that added up, a slow accumulation of doubts that made the back of my neck prickle. It was the GPS history on her phone that confirmed it. One evening, while she was in the shower, I glanced at her phone, and my fingers moved almost on autopilot. I pulled up her location history and saw repeated visits to a boutique hotel downtown. It was the kind of place that had satin sheets and dim lighting, the kind of place you didn't visit for a business meeting. The betrayal stung, but I held it together. If Emma thought she'd broken me, she had another thing coming. I didn't confront her. Instead, I made a decision that would lead to one of the most calculated, carefully orchestrated acts of revenge you've ever heard of. Because if there was one thing I knew, it was that I was going to make them pay for this. Both of them. That's when I came up with Tyler Brennan, my perfect disguise. Tyler was everything Alex, the other man, wanted to be friends with. I'd done my research on Alex. He was Emma's coworker at her company, a hotshot in his early 30s with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass and an Instagram feed that looked like it belonged to a wannabe influencer. He posted pictures of himself on yachts, in expensive suits, or sipping bourbon on some rooftop bar with a view of the city. Alex was predictable, in love with his own reflection, and driven by ambition. A perfect target. I created Tyler Brennan from the ground up. Tyler was a tech mogul, a self-made millionaire who'd sold a startup for a ridiculous sum and now spent his days investing in cutting-edge ventures. I set up a LinkedIn profile for Tyler, complete with a list of impressive achievements and connections that would make any self-respecting techie swoon. I made sure Tyler loved all the things Alex did: adrenaline sports, fine whiskey, exotic cars, and business deals that smelled like money. Then, I reached out to Alex, congratulating him on a recent promotion and asking if he'd be interested in talking about potential investments. Alex responded within the hour, eager and a little starstruck. We set up a virtual call, and I used a voice changer and the wig and fake beard combo I bought online to look the part. The call went perfectly. Alex was like a kid in a candy store, eager to impress Tyler with his knowledge of the market and his aspirations to one day break free from corporate life and start his own company. It didn't take long for me to reel Alex in. We exchanged investment tips, and I made sure he saw a quick return on a few small ventures. Trust is a powerful thing, and once Alex trusted Tyler, he opened up more. He bragged about his relationships, about women he'd conquered, and though he never named Emma, I pieced together enough to know it was her. My blood boiled, but I kept playing the game. Emma, on the other hand, was more difficult to manipulate. I couldn't confront her yet. I needed her to think I was still clueless, the oblivious husband, so I leaned into it. I cooked elaborate dinners for her, showed up with surprise bouquets, even whisked her away on a weekend spa trip. The guilt in her eyes was undeniable, and sometimes, late at night, I'd lie awake next to her and wonder if she ever truly loved me. But I couldn't afford to get emotional. Not yet. Meanwhile, Tyler kept getting closer to Alex. I invited him to exclusive networking events, dropped hints about massive investment opportunities, and even got him to talk about his future plans. Alex was eating out of my hand, and I was just getting started. My first real test of control came when I hinted that Tyler was planning a private retreat in the mountains, a weekend getaway to discuss investments with some of the most influential people in the tech world. Alex's eyes practically lit up. He wanted in. But there was a catch. Tyler made it clear he wanted to keep things exclusive, off the radar. No plus ones unless absolutely necessary. That's when Alex made his first mistake. He insisted on bringing Emma. He said she was his right-hand woman, someone he trusted implicitly. The irony almost made me choke. I could practically see Alex imagining himself and Emma, sipping champagne in a luxurious cabin, closing the kind of deals that would make his future secure. And I let him believe it. I let him think he'd won. The cabin was a secluded, high-end rental I'd booked under Tyler's name. It had everything: a sprawling fireplace, a gourmet kitchen, and floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked a breathtaking view of the forest. It also had a basement, one that I'd modified for the second act of my revenge. The day of the retreat arrived. Emma told me she'd be gone for the weekend, some corporate networking event she couldn't miss. I smiled, kissed her cheek, and told her to have a great time. She flinched, and it took everything in me not to laugh. I got to the cabin hours before they did, setting up hidden cameras and positioning a few surprise elements I'd prepared. When Emma and Alex finally arrived, giggling like teenagers, they were dressed in designer casual wear, ready to impress. But the moment Alex pushed open the door and saw me sitting there, in the plush leather armchair by the fireplace, his face went pale. Emma's hand flew to her mouth, and she made a strangled sound somewhere between a gasp and a scream. "Surprise," I said, my voice smooth and steady. "Take a seat." They didn't move at first, so I gestured to the couch. Emma was trembling, and Alex looked like he was about to bolt, but I calmly reached into my pocket and pulled out a small, unassuming remote. "Run," and I pressed this, I said, waggling the remote. "And trust me, you don't want that." They finally sat. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife, and I could see the sweat beading on Alex's forehead. Emma's eyes were wide, her face drained of color. "What is this?" Alex demanded, his voice cracking slightly. "Oh, it's simple," I replied. "We're going to play a game. And if you play nicely, everyone walks away. Mostly intact." Emma whispered my name, her voice desperate, but I ignored her. I turned my attention to Alex. "You've been screwing my wife," I said, and the way his eyes bulged made me want to laugh. "But here's the thing, I'm not here to punch you or drag you to court. I'm here to give you both a chance to earn your freedom." I explained the rules. In front of them was a deck of cards, and the game was simple: they had to work together to win 3 rounds of poker. If they did, I'd forgive them. If not, well, there were consequences. The cards weren't rigged, but their paranoia and guilt made every round feel like a death sentence. They played, hands shaking, whispering frantic strategies. And I watched, calm as ever, enjoying the spectacle of their fear. When they finally won the third round, they let out identical sighs of relief. But just as they started to relax, I leaned forward and said, "Congratulations. You've won. But there's one last thing." Their relief shattered as I revealed the live stream setup, showing them how their every move had been recorded. The feed hadn't gone live yet, but with one tap, I could broadcast it to a curated list of their professional contacts, Emma's boss, Alex's investors, and a few mutual friends known for their loose lips. The panic was delicious, but I didn't press the button. Instead, I pulled out a USB drive and slid it across the table. "Your confessions are on here," I said. "If either of you tries to come after me, this goes public. If you respect our marriage vows, or what's left of them, I disappear. We all move on." I stood, leaving them to their ruined weekend. As I drove away, the weight lifted from my chest, and I allowed myself a smile. It wasn't about forgiveness, it was about freedom. Emma and Alex? They'd never escaped the shadow of what they'd done, and that was punishment enough. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard. It's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.